Hello and welcome to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance with the Worldwide People's Championship U1700 Week 26. It's amazing to think that we're in Week 26 of this thing. It's far over 6 months, and I'd say it's a very successful long-running tournament. I haven't casted in a very long time, basically because I don't have much time, and when I do have time, I prefer to spend it playing rather than casting for some reason, and making live commentary is really hard. But hopefully I'll be back. We'll have a lot more free time in the next few weeks, so that'll hopefully equate to more casts. So anyway, we have the final of U1700, and we have UBS Iron Tony versus Astrofoo. Iron Tony, I believe, is the challenger. I'm pretty sure he's the challenger. And Astrofoo is the champion. So we're going to have a best of 5 here between these players. So obviously you have to win 3 games. It doesn't matter in what order you win them. But the first map is chosen by the challenger. So Iron Tony has picked Blasted Rock. And if you guys remember, Iron Tony had an epic game with Zbinden on this map. Now I can't remember who won. But it was a 55-minute game with Tech 3 already on Blasted Rock. It was ridiculous. So it's going to kick this up to +1. We see first land and second land from both players. So nothing too unusual there. And we're going to get ACUs going in opposite directions. So the only real thing of note, really, is this Mantis coming out. From Iron Tony, it's heading down to the bottom where a tank is protecting the engineer for Astrofoo. The problem here is that if the Mantis focuses on the engineer, then it doesn't matter if the Mantis is lost. It will kill the engineer, which is its target. So it looks like nothing else is happening on the map, so we'll just focus in on here. And the automatic target is the engineer. So we are seeing some fancy micro from Iron Tony, but no shots are being fired. He needs to target this engineer right now, immediately. He needs to target the engineer, because this is not going to happen. The engineer actually gets the final say there. He gets to reclaim the Mantis, so that was a really big lost opportunity for Iron Tony. And now this perfectly placed Celine will see this Mantis coming in, and Astrofoo should be withdrawing this engineer. He's retreating it sort of in the wrong direction, though he could have brought it back to his tank, and that is going to be a success for Iron Tony, so good job to him. And actually, if he goes all the way around here, he can get this engineer as well. It looks like he will get that successfully. He's got another Mantis coming in support. So nice early rating from Iron Tony. Gets 2 out of a possible 3 engineers there. The early game definitely went to Iron Tony, and he's actually getting hydros on both sides here. Very unlucky for Astrofoo there. He's going to get this engineer, I would assume. He has not actually managed to grab it yet. He has now. And if he pushes, he could even up this engineer count. Iron Tony is not going to be able to catch that in time. But I think the Hydro will get finished unless some lucky shots come off, and the Hydro is finished. That'll take an extremely long time for one tank to kill. So I think Iron Tony will be able to send some units to take care of that tank. In the meantime, Astrofoo's ACU is very far forward here. Iron Tony is beginning to work on a land spam. Same thing for Astrofoo. So these players are playing very similarly right now. And originally they had their ACUs going in opposite directions, but it looks like someone changed their mind. And yeah, this Hydra is in no risk of dying to a single tank, and Manti coming in to clean up, so there's a bit of luck there for Iron Tony, but I'm sure he doesn't mind. And now a wall started for Astrofoo to protect his expansion. Nothing has happened on the top, but it looks like Astrofoo is sort of giving it up. He needs to move in and deny some of this map control from Iron Tony. And this is a huge power spam plan. I don't think he's ever going to need that much power on this map. So hopefully he's not planning to actually make all that. One thing to not neglect on this map are all these rocks around your starting location. They can make a huge difference in the way you can eco. Looks like Astrofoo has grabbed the big chunk, but he hasn't gotten these up here. That can really help a lot. In any case, very similar numbers here, so it's going to come down to who can position their units better. And you want to have sort of a rectangle facing towards your opponent. You try to get more concentrated firepower than they can. And Iron Tony is starting an extremely early ACU upgrade. I want to check his power for this. Actually, he's stalling on mass, so that's actually keeping him alive in terms of power. And you see every time he starts, every time he reclaims, he's going to run out of power. which is not a desired situation. And huge numbers for Astrofoo on the bottom. I did not mean to click on his name. So Iron Tony will have to reinforce, and in the meantime he is going to lose the top expansion. But if he successfully gets this ACU upgrade, and I don't see why he won't, I mean, Astrofoo's ACU alone can't really deny this. And actually, Iron Tony might be a little bit eager here. He's moving all his units back towards his own base. And Astrofoo here should take the opportunity to split a few units off of here and go after the Hydro. It would be a devastating blow to Iron Tony. Right now they're neck and neck with score and in terms of numbers, some very even positioning from units there. And Astrofoo is about 80% done with his upgrade here. I mean, Iron Tony is, and Astrofoo is moving in to try and kill him. Yeah, and this is a really good tank from Astrofoo. He's going to take care of that Hydro. And another great set of tanks here from Astrofoo. So definitely knows how to raid. That's not really his problem. The problem is that Iron Tony is about to have the gun upgrade on his ACU. And as soon as these Manti come in to reinforce, and I'm assuming they will, Iron Tony will have a very, very strong force with these Manti plus his ACU. He needs to focus on not getting run over at his main base, though. And with a gunned ACU, there's no way this Tech 1 force will break in. You can see those two Hydras denied have created a huge power imbalance. So Astrofoo suddenly has a ton more power than Iron Tony does. And now that we have air coming up, Astrofoo is essentially guaranteed air control because of the power difference, 500 to 280. It was more even a few minutes ago when the two Hydras belonged to Iron Tony. He would have had 500 power then, 480 a few seconds ago. So this is this is actually very dangerous for Iron Tony here. He's in the middle of units. He's going to go below 2,500 health. So I think he might have misclicked there. Astrofoo is targeting him with everything. And this is going to be very close. Astrofoo survives with 800 HP. So he has taken the first game. And that was very unlucky for Iron Tony there. He was in an extremely good position to push. He just somehow let his ACU get away from his army. So a pretty decent game 1, and we'll move on to game 2 now on a map that will get to be chosen by Astrofoo. So we'll see if Iron Tony can even it up now. Hello and welcome to game 2 between Iron Tony and Astrofoo in the Worldwide People's Championship U1700 final for week 26. I need to stop stuttering, and these players are going to start off with Astrofoo in the top left as Seraphim, and Iron Tony in the bottom right as Cybern on the map Crag Dunes, which is a very strange map. It's got a lot of mass extractors. You can see they're all over the place. So it's really a lot different than some of the other 5x5 maps. And it's also got a huge amount of reclaim. It's got an obscene amount of reclaim here. You've got a whole bunch of Tech 2 tanks in your starting base, as well as other things. There's a huge amount of reclaim as you go along these mountainsides, and there's also Tech 2 transport wrecks along with some air wrecks along the bases of these mountains. There's the same thing up here. So these are definitely things you want to get when you're playing on this map. And we'll see what kinds of builds come out of these players. We're finally going to see some diversity. We're going to see a second air from Astrofoo after 5 pigeons, and what he's doing here is something that you can easily do on this map. He's not making any mass extractors with his ACU. He's only making pigeons, and he's getting his early mass from these wrecks that he can find on the mountainside. So it's a nice build from Astrofoo, and he's making his second air factory. And Iron Tony is going to get power from sending 2 early engineers to the Hydro, and then he's going to make an air factory adjacent to the Hydro. So right now it's identical power between these two players, and the first raids are going to meet each other actually, and the Selene didn't get to make its impact felt. Selenes can actually have a huge impact on these fights with their extra damage that they can inflict, and this Mantis is very weakened. It needs to run away, it can't just stay there, although that was a nice dodge there, and pulls off another dodge. But the problem is that once you're dodging like that, it's very difficult to actually shoot back at the unit that you're dodging. So nice idea from Iron Tony, but he didn't really make it work. Now you have second land from him, second air from Astrofoo, and an early scout right before the bomber arrives. That's a good play from him. We'll see how lucky he can get with this bomber. Right, it's on the default target of a mass extractor, and he's turned around now. Oh god. So he's going to try to drop a bomb off now, and it is a dodge from Iron Tony. No engineers killed yet. And now we're going to have this engineer here be under threat, and I think the mountain might have gotten in the way there for Astrofoo. Because once there's elevations like this, it really screws up the bomber. And now an interceptor comes out for Iron Tony. That's pretty much going to be the end of the bomber, so it's going to have to get a kill now. If it can get that engineer, it will be a success. But here comes the interceptor from Iron Tony, and it's done. So I think the early rating is pretty much done. We're going to see how these players get on now. Still just 2 factors for Iron Tony, while Astrofoo is already starting a spam and only now getting a mass extractor at minute 4. He didn't actually get that earlier. Actually a huge power advantage for Astrofoo, just as it was at the end of the last game, 400 to 240. He's definitely made a lot more Tech 1 P-gens than Iron Tony had. Iron Tony is being quite aggressive with his ACU. If you remember in the last game, being aggressive with his ACU got him into serious trouble. And Astrofoo, we have to remember, is the one playing with a 1-game advantage. So even if he loses this, he's not really going to give up any ground. It'll be even. Whereas Iron Tony, if he loses this game, it will put him in a very bad position. Because if you're in a best of 5, going 2-0 down is one of the worst things that can happen. Because then every single game from then on is pressure, and you have to win all of them. But Iron Tony seems to be doing very well. He's got a huge score advantage, and actually Astrofoo has to be extremely careful here. Iron Tony's ACU plus a few Manti are in support. Astrofoo only has a single Tham moving in, and he's taking some pretty serious damage from these Manti. He's down into 5,000 health, so about even health for these players. We have to remember that Iron Tony is Cybern, so his ACU regenerates a lot faster than Astrofoo's does, 18 to 10 in terms of regeneration. That can be a huge difference in terms of these ACU fights. So now Iron Tony is pushing really hard against Astrofoo. He's down into the 2,500, although Iron Tony does not have the health to continue this push. He has to go back. Astrofoo, I mean, he can either go for the draw here or retreat, and he has decided to retreat. Because if he were to go for a draw, he'd be throwing away a very good position. Iron Tony is actually in a very strong position right now, but suddenly Astrofoo has more units, and Astrofoo is pushing when he only has 1,400 HP, so I don't know if they're playing with score or what, but I think Astrofoo might have realized that he's in a very bad position compared to Iron Tony, so he's continuously pushing here, and both players are under 1,000 HP, and this is guaranteed to be a draw now. And that's what settled it. I think Iron Tony got the final shot there. Not that it matters at all. I just wanted to mention that. So exactly 7 minutes. In game 2, Iron Tony doesn't give up any ground. It's a draw. However, Astrofoo still has 1 game in the bag. So he will take a 1-0-1 advantage going into game number 3, which he will also get to pick the map on. So we'll go to game 3 now. So going on to game 3 now between Astrofoo and UES Iron Tony, and we have Seraphim versus Cybern once again. Once again, Astrofoo is on the left and Iron Tony is on the right, and of course first land from both players. And the map is Veil of Isis, so this is the smallest map yet that they've played. There is only one map that's smaller than this, that would be Winter Duel. And this is another map where you don't have to make any mass extractors with your ACU, but Astrofoo is going to do that. There is a huge amount of reclaimable rocks right next to your base. I guess that was sort of incorrect. It's a huge number of reclaimable rocks, huge amount of mass you can get. And no early raids from these players, which is kind of disappointing. On this map, there's very, very few mass extractors. All your early mass is going to come from reclaim. And there's 2 paths you can go. You can either use this reclaim to upgrade or do massive spams. And if you want the game to look better, you can do massive spams. Because if you eco, it's going to turn into just an eco fest, and that's really boring. So anyway, Astrofoo is again playing with a 1-game advantage. He leads 1-0-1 in this best of 5 to decide the champion of U1700 for week 26. Now we're finally seeing some action as a Selene and a Tham come out for Astrofoo, and these players throughout this series have sent single units instead of two. Usually you see Mentai and tanks in pairs of two. I guess you can only have pairs of two. And we'll see if Iron Tony can micro this one better than he did on the first game, which was on Blasted Rock. Because if he can focus on the engineer here, he'll get a kill. And this time he is focusing on the engineer, whether by intention or by accident, we don't know. And it's going to be the familiar role now of Iron Tony trying to dodge. He definitely does know how to dodge these. And pulling off one dodge after the other. And he just, I mean, if he had dodged a few more shots there, he would have gotten that. I thought that he was going to make an impossible, get an impossible win there. And this is going to be interesting. Can the ACU kill this Mentis before he kills the engineer? That's the question here. And it is being targeted now, and the ACU is just arriving. Unfortunately for Iron Tony, he's too late to actually deny the Hydro. His Astrofoo's ACU can simply come in and finish it, which he is doing now. But some denial of Iron Tony's Hydro, and if this Tham can finish it off, that will be a huge success, and Engineer will have to come up then. And it is going to get denied. So excellent rating from Astrofoo, actually. Iron Tony moving his ACU up. He was spotted by a Celine, though. And this is going to be a nice point defense from Iron Tony. He's going to secure those two mask tractors early on. So, as it has usually been, a huge power advantage for Astrofoo now that he has his Hydro and Iron Tony does not. Astrofoo is a big fan of his Hydros, it seems. And this is going to be an identical setup to what Iron Tony has. He might even be getting those buildings in the same order. It's point defense first for him, so actually, no, it's not the same order. That's not important. What's important is the units that go up. So another land factory for Astrofoo. He's up to 4 land factories and 4 land factories for Iron Tony as well. Both players are working on their 5th, and they're both about the same way through on their 5th land factory. So extremely similar economies except for the power, of course. The mass early on in this map will be deceiving because of the amount of mass you can reclaim. Several thousand on the base of this mountain. That's another thing for new players. If you're looking for reclaim, it's generally on the bases of mountains because that's usually where the small rocks are, which can give you so much mass early on. And I think Iron Tony is in the position here to make a good push against Astrofoo if he wants to take map control. Astrofoo has decided his engineer is too vulnerable and he's just going to go on a reclaim mission. But this is an excellent Celine from Astrofoo. He can see everything. And he's going to see this force coming in. And that'll probably give him time to rearrange his units here so that he can be better prepared. I love it when players do this. I mean, I hate it when they do it against me, but I love seeing this. And actually, the rally point for Iron Tony, simply by luck, happens to be right on the Celine. So Astrofoo's going to see everything that comes that direction because the rally point is right there. And this is going to be bad for Iron Tony because his units are very poorly positioned here. And that's just going to be devastating from Astrofoo. He needs to keep pushing right now. If he had just kept on continuing through, that would have been devastating. It still is going to be devastating. Great engagement there from Astrofoo. And actually, Iron Tony is kind of surrounded here once again. He's got a very nice position to retreat to, though, with this point defense. He's not really in any danger right now. And it's perfectly balanced right now at minute 6. And it's impossible to predict what's going to happen. Looks like a lot of scouts. I don't know if this is a fake army or what, but Iron Tony has a huge amount of scouts that he's produced. And now going on an aggressive mission against Astrofoo. He needs to be incredibly careful here. He's only got 3 Mentai in support. Now he is swinging his entire force around. And he's going to have to retreat hard in the face of Astrofoo's ACU and supporting units. Does Astrofoo know about this colossal shift of units? He does now. He certainly knows that there's a lot of units coming his way now. He's going to have to retreat. He has nothing to save his ACU. He's going to try to move in. This is the correct maneuver from Astrofoo. He's going to try to destroy Iron Tony's base. The problem is, can he save his ACU? Iron Tony will not be able to save his base, it seems. I'm getting PM'd, which always happens when I cast. But that's not important because here comes Iron Tony. He's below 2500 HP, though. He needs to go back or it's going to be another draw. Because I think Astrofoo is certainly going to die here. And we may just see a second draw in a row. And Iron Tony is not even going to try to prevent it. And Astrofoo's units have closed him down. and I think a draw is pretty much inevitable at this point. Astrofoo is desperately trying to get away. He knows that if he can hold out, the game is won. He's destroyed Iron Tony's base, but Iron Tony is just pushing relentlessly, trying to get this draw. He's down to 700, even HP on these ACUs, and it is a second draw in a row. You can see that if the game had gone on for just a little bit longer, Astrofoo would certainly have won. Just look at the damage in his base. This is definitely the right move from Astrofoo, though. He should definitely take this opportunity. He could have tried to swing around and save his ACU, but I mean, he's got a draw out of it, and he still leads, although now it's 1-0-2. So, let's go on to game 4. I don't know what map they're going to pick. Hopefully they pick something besides a 5x5 land map, so we can see something different. So, let's move on to game 4. And welcome to game 4 of the U1700 title defense of Astrofoo against the challenger UES Iron Tony. This is week 26. Not sure why I keep reiterating that this is the same video, but whatever. And so now Astrofoo has gotten the 1 win plus 2 draws. So he still leads 1-0-2. But that really does put a lot of pressure on Iron Tony. Because if this next game were to say be a draw, then Astrofoo would be in a very big winning position then. So I did not get my wish. We have another 5x5 spam map in Fields of Thunder, the V2. So this is the version with less reclaim around your starting base, but the same amount of reclaim in the corners. And the map is pretty much the same. So yeah, and there's also a lot more reclaim on the top ledge. So you definitely want to work that into your build. This map was chosen by Iron Tony. So in all 4 cases, the person who picks has picked a spam map. So I guess this is where these players feel most comfortable. That's probably why we've had such even games. So Astrofoo went to the Hydro early, and that's a lot different from what Iron Tony is doing. He went to the Hydro with Engineers, and his ACU is going very hard to the middle. Astrofoo is also going hard to the middle, but he stopped to get the Hydro first. And rather predictably, Astrofoo ends up with a lot more power than Iron Tony. That's been a classic element of their game so far. So in the last 2 games, we've seen either player dominate and then the other player stealing a draw. In the second game that Iron Tony was dominating, Astrofoo managed to take a draw. And in the last game, Astrofoo was dominating, and given another minute or so, he would have definitely won the game. But Iron Tony managed to get a draw from that. The first game, Iron Tony could consider himself very unlikely to lose, but such is Supreme Commander. And we're seeing the beginnings of a land spam from Astrofoo, and Iron Tony is starting his own land spam. So one thing that's very important is the reclamation of the corners. It's a huge amount of mass here. It's just so many rocks. And you see an early engineer from Astrofoo, and Iron Tony is going to try to deny this, sending a Mantis around. And he's going to be heading north on a huge journey to deny reclaim. And that was some very nice raiding from Astrofoo. Even though he's going to lose this tank, he did manage to kill the engineer plus a scout. So no reclamation for Iron Tony early on. That's going to be pretty irritating for him, although both players are in the middle now. And you should not be focusing on mass strikers here. You should be manually reclaiming all these rocks. See, Astrofoo is definitely doing this. You can just use the reclaim command and just spam click everywhere. So this could be some payback here for Iron Tony if he can focus on the engineer, and he's not. He's actually manually targeting the tank, which is a horrible move. And here comes the engineer to finish it off. He did not switch target in time, so Iron Tony with another missed opportunity there. He missed a similar opportunity in the first game. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So identical factory counts. Astrofoo is way ahead on his 5th factory, though. Not that it matters too much. And now a patrol order for Iron Tony to get mass from the middle. So he's getting mass from the middle while Astrofoo is getting mass from the side. Iron Tony's side was denied. Actually, this Celine here, if it was microed properly, it could probably take on this engineer. Just needs to uncloak. So here comes Astrofoo's unit. and he's going to do his best to get around. I'm not sure why he's using the attack command here. That's really a maneuver for Aeon players. For Seraphim, you really just want to smash your way through the enemy lines. But whatever. And now both players are trying to keep their units away from the opponent's ACU. And this is some interesting maneuvering going on here. So Astrofoo has got Iron Tony to a pretty low amount of HP, but Astrofoo needs to be extremely careful here as well. In these types of battles, one misstep in micro and you're basically screwed. Or if you're not screwed, you've given up a lot of map control and then you'll be screwed. So again, very evenly balanced, identical mass and almost identical power, and extremely similar numbers as well. So these players are extremely evenly matched. I'd like to see more games between them. Although we definitely have this series to close out, which is guaranteed to go to at least a game 6. And I'm missing action here that's happening right in front of my face. Actually, Iron Tony, using his ACU to focus down all these units, he's down below 2500, but actually no, I was about to say he's in a good position, but the reinforcements from Astrofoo mean Iron Tony is in a very bad position. If he can try to get some veterancy here, which would give him a nice health boost, which he desperately needs. He's down, he just needs 3 more kills now. He's on 17. He's got 18 now. So 1 more kill will do it for Iron Tony. Astrofoo is pushing in. And Iron Tony with a huge amount of idle engineers. That's what happens whenever you're focused too hard on one area. And he really does need to focus down at least 1 unit with his ACU and get that vet level. He almost has it. He does now, so he's above 2500. That's a critical moment for Iron Tony to stay above 2500 and to avoid the possibility of another draw, although it's still very finely poised here. I think Astrofoo has a slight advantage here. And as he pushes, he's taking over the middle behind him, leaving all the rocks to be reclaimed by his own engineers. So the longer Astrofoo holds the middle, the worse and worse it's going to get for Iron Tony. So this is pretty bad now for Iron Tony. Actually, Astrofoo is in an extremely strong position here. He's focusing on the units, and his own units are coming in support. Iron Tony just doesn't seem to have the spam to keep up. And this is unfortunate for this tank here from Astrofoo. Some strange terrain getting in the way. Iron Tony managing to hold on here. And actually, he's just 5 kills away from another vet up. Astrofoo is 6 kills away from his first one. And can Iron Tony get this next veterancy level? He needs to avoid getting hit by Seraphim Arty, which he is getting hit by. He's going to go below 2500 once again. He got a nice overcharge there on Astrofoo's ACU. And point defense is now being spammed up in the middle by Astrofoo. That's going to get quite a few kills if it wasn't hitting the terrain. It's a very unfortunate placement. If it had been up here, it would get a huge amount of kills. Still will get a huge number of kills. Now 2900 HP for Astrofoo. Just 2700 for Iron Tony. Don't tell me we're going to see another draw. I really do not want to see another draw. We have 36 kills. Now he's just 2 kills away from another vet up. And if he gets that, he'll be in a very nice position, actually, with even numbers and more HP on his ACU. 40 kills now, 5200 HP. That's a huge bonus for him. And how many engineers is that? They're all going to reclaim. He's going to get an enormous amount of masses, Iron Tony. Now he's actually pulling ahead. There's a massive mass reclamation field. He needs to get these engineers to reclaim and to make more factories in his own base. And actually, Astrofoo taking huge amounts of fire to the face. He's on 800 HP. He's going to hit by a lot of Medusas here. He's on 500. More Medusa shells coming in. 600 HP. Wow. Astrofoo is literally just surviving here. Iron Tony is pushing him. He's got 6,000 HP, Iron Tony has. And if he can just get within range, he can close this out. A few Medusa shells hit, and Iron Tony finally equalizes the series. It's now 1-1-2, exactly even. And now we're guaranteed to go to at least Game 7. One of these players has to win twice, at least. Or no. This was Game 4, right? Yeah. We're guaranteed to go to at least Game 6. Because if one player wins 2 in a row, then they would win 3-1-2. But right now it's 1-1-2, and we're going to Game 5 next. And I have some sort of feeling that it might be a spam map that's chosen by whoever gets to pick the next map, which is Astrofoo as the champion. So see you guys in game 5. So either I am a prediction god or these players are very predictable. Astrofoo has picked Canis River, yet another 5x5 spam map. And unlike the other ones, this one does not have any special features except for the river in the middle. So it creates some natural choke points there. And it'll also mean a natural advantage for Seraphim. Let's see what builds these players do. First land, second air from Iron Tony with 6 Pigeons. It's kind of low power. And first land, second land from Astrofoo, only with 5 Pigeons. That's standard. Making 3 Mass Correctors though with this, that's not that standard. Usually you only make 2. Iron Tony's going with 2. And No-Bringer is PMing me right now. I hope he appreciates that reference to him. So, by the way, I still have to play him in my title defense. Well, man, at this very moment that I'm speaking, I was leading 2-1-1, and we were about to go into game 5. He's making it very difficult for me. And I also get to play against Lushan for the second week in a row. I beat Congreve 2-0. I'm not afraid to tell you guys that because that most likely will not get casted unless something incredible happens and it does get casted, which I would not exactly mind. I have to admit I stole game 2 from him. I'm sure everyone who watches it will agree, but who cares? These players have already stolen enough games from each other. I need to stop zooming in. I'm going to take my hand off the mouse. I'll just do it like this. I'll just have it zoomed out the whole way. So what are those? Are those Manta or Hunters? Hunters? Hunters. Okay, yeah. Hunters going in either direction. It's going to be nice from Iron Tony. Astrofoo needs to move this engineer away. And Iron Tony can bring it up onto the peninsula here. And that was... if he had moved it sooner, he would have gotten that easily. And up here... he needs to go after this engineer. There is absolutely no way for him to know that there's an engineer here, but if he did, this is absolutely the perfect target. There's no protection, and it's a vital engineer for Astrofoo. Where did that engineer go? Did he actually kill it? No, it's running away still. Oh, come on, Iron Tony. Please just move it in. Yes, you are moving it in now. No, 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 no. Oh, God. That would have been so perfect. Now it's just going to run into a tank. It's kind of sad. It's an unfortunate end to a hunter that had a lot of potential there. Now we are seeing the first bomber coming out from Iron Tony with the Cybern bomber. Only a single engineer as a target for Astrofoo. He's going on very low engineers here. And it does get killed. Flak is now produced. 4 flak coming out. That's a huge amount of flak. This engineer somehow trapped in between all sorts of units from Astrofoo. It has gotten killed now. And now this bomber will get the bomb off. It doesn't really get the bomb off. Lots of flak has been forced out for Astrofoo. That's a huge waste of mass for him. And Iron Tony is in a very advantageous position right now. If he can just get this bomb off, he will be amazing. There's going to be a defense now of his mass correctors against this tank. They will not get any energy here. So this Mantis should, in theory, be able to clean that up. Now, Iron Tony just standing on the peninsula, looking out over the river, and just taking some shots while he's at it. Might do some fishing here. Although, there's probably nothing alive in there. Hope there's not. I think it would be cool if there were fish in this game. That's just me. This is probably the most random thought I've ever thought of. And 2v1 here, this Mantis is in trouble. Although it has managed to pick off 1 tank before it gets picked off itself. 3 kills now, so some regeneration for this tank. It's going to get 4 kills now against this scout. And it's going to get cleaned up by a Mantis. Nice tank from Astrofoo. And some nice raiding here, but he's probably not going to get that mass tractor done. Oh, a Jester. Where did this okay, so Astrofoo has made Iron Tony has made a Jester with which he is targeting Astrofoo. And Astrofoo absolutely cannot deal with this. And Astrofoo is in huge trouble here. Iron Tony played very well here. And he's from nothing, really. He's going to take the game. So well played, Iron Tony. From being behind for the first 3 games, he now leads 2-1-2. Ridiculous score, but that is the score. So game 5 is completed and there's no winner. So it's gonna go into overtime, game 6. Yeah. So hopefully we see some entertainment in game 6, and see that now. And here we go to game 6, and this is the first time that they're not playing on a 5x5 map. It's unbelievable, but they are still playing on a spam map, and that map happens to be Open Palms, one of the most classic maps, if not the most classic 1v1 map in Supreme Commander history. And somehow I'm not surprised that it's Cybern versus Seraphim once again. So let's see what builds these two players produce. Open Palms, as you would think, it's very open. Huge amounts of mask tractors, huge amounts of forest, especially back here. So if I want to hold on to this. And early on, huge amount of mass to be gained by reclaiming these rocks on the mountainsides. So the 2 options early on: you can either stay in your starting location and make air, or you can run to the hydro. And Astrofoo is taking the first option, staying at home and making an air factor, while rushing the hydro with his engineers. And Iron Tony is doing something similar, but his ACU is eventually going to make his way over, and no air planned from Iron Tony. That could be devastating against the Seraphim player on Open Palms. So we have to remember that Iron Tony now is the one with an advantage. He's leading 2-1-2, so a draw will be enough for Iron Tony. No, wait, will it? Fuck that, I don't even know. No, it wouldn't even be enough, because he still needs to win 3. Yeah, a draw for Iron Tony would not be enough to win this. So he also needs to win if he wants to close it out in game 6. Astrofoo needs to win just to stay alive. If he loses, then he's out, and Iron Tony will replace him as the champion. So now we see some interesting stuff happening here, as Astrofoo's tank is going to get around, and the question is, will he see this engineer and kill it? And I'm wondering if these players are going to reclaim these rocks around their base. These rocks are a very important source of mass early on this map. You definitely need to put those in your build order, and you'll have a huge advantage if the other player doesn't do that. So Iron Tony is walking towards the middle with his ACO. That's very unorthodox. And there's not really a point, because the middle is not really one concentrated area. It's these 2 separate pockets of mass. So you can't even defend it that well with your ACU. I mean, you can block off the choke point and protect it, but it's still vulnerable to artillery. I mean, if you put a Tech 1 artillery right there, it can still hit the mass tractor. So your ACU is much better served to be on the side, and suddenly Iron Tony has second thoughts. And looks like there was a kill there that I missed because I was talking about something. And here is a bomber from Astrofoo, and there's absolutely no air to greet it. So he's going to spot those engineers, and he's probably going to drop a bomb on their head. No successful dodge there from Iron Tony. And he didn't manage to drop anything there. No engineers expanding to the sides though, so nothing to be gained there. If he can kill that engineer, that would be perfect, but he's not even going to spot it with the scout, and that's going to be 2 engineers gone. Great bomber from Astrofoo. This would make Vortex proud. And now he's going after this engineer. If he picks that off, I will be impressed. Can he do it? That's the question. He's definitely going to see it by now on the radar. He's trying to turn the bomber around. And is he going to get the bomb off is the question. No, he didn't get it off. He needs to turn around and get that bomb off ASAP and deny expansion. Astrofoo already with a mass and power advantage, although a slight one. And that was a very nice bomber. Flags are being dispatched. He's going to probably see them. And interceptors being gathered in the middle. So total air dominance for Astrofoo, and Iron Tony is pushing at Astrofoo's ACU. They're both going to be in the same expansion. And unfortunately, the bomber got parked, and it promptly got killed by all these mobile flags. But it did do its job. 4 engineer kills, and 3 of them were important engineers as well. So a huge land factory spam from Astrofoo is coming up. That's his plan, it seems. Of course, that's standard on this map. Both players are going for a massive spam. And neither player is able to expand to their back 3 mass extractors because both players are denying it, which is a sign of intelligent play. Also, these rocks are not to be neglected on open palms. Yeah, open palms is a very difficult map to play. I mean, it's one of the easiest maps and one of the hardest maps at the same time. It's one of the easiest because the strategy is extremely straightforward. I mean, you just spam. But it's also incredibly difficult to spam well and to eco well and to pay attention to everything at once. As it takes a lot of concentration to play this map well. And you have to deal with all these different raids from every single direction. And what is Iron Tony doing here? Sending his units away from his ACU. I think this could be a very quick open palms game. It almost certainly will be. All the units are being redirected. There's nothing. Iron Tony is gonna die. That is ridiculous, I have to say. He just moved his ACU from there to there. And it's already over at minute 7. And it is an endless series. 2-2-2 is the score. 2 wins for each player and 2 draws. So, basically, whoever wins the next game wins the title. And no one can say that it was easy to get that. So, moving on to Game 7 in this best of 5. Because that makes sense. So, yeah, we'll move on to Game 7 now. So, this is going to be the decisive game. And finally, in Game 7, we have a faction switch. Astrofoo is sticking with Seraphim, but Iron Tony has abandoned Cybern. Poor Cybern. He favors Seraphim over Cybern. Anyway, after the first 5 games in a row being 5x5 maps, they then switched to open palms, and now they're back to the smallest map of their series yet, Winter Duel. So, yeah, Winter Duel is one of the most bizarre maps. There's basically map control is meaningless, except for like the first 2 minutes where you want to get this reclaim. After that, map control is meaningless. And it's about point defenses and gun upgrades and anything that's useful in choke points, because there is only one route of attack, period, and that is it. Iron Tony telling himself, whoops, I guess this is a message to one of the casters, which is me in this case. Speaking of that, I do want feedback on this. Hopefully my first cast back is a good one, and hopefully it's also the first of many back. So first and second land from Astro, first and second land from Iron Tony. So it looks like Swackle is an observer in this one. Kind of strange. And this is going to be a nice Selene block on a mass extractor and another one. Okay, Swackle, shut the fuck up. There we go. Shut up. So, yeah, you can either go with a hardcore spam or you can go for an early gun upgrade on this map. I personally prefer gun upgrade because not only have a nice build for it, but it works. I mean, it usually gets you results. And if you get gun upgrade, then you can easily transition into spam. There's so much reclaim available. So these nice ice chunks behind your base. And there's also some down here around the base of these hills. Predictably, there's reclaim around the base of the hills. Who would have thunk that, huh? So this is annoying for Iron Tony. What he needs to do is to make an attack move with his engineer. That would reclaim the Selene. That's probably just annoying micro that he doesn't want to have to deal with right now. But yeah, a small attack move to say right there would easily deal with the Selene. It would be a slight mass boost as well. Not a big one, but you know, any mass boost helps. There's no such thing as a bad mass boost. So, 3 versus 3 factors. I mean, every single game, these players are exactly identical with each other in terms of production. And now the pressure is really on as the series is exactly balanced at 2-2-2. 2 wins for each and 2 draws. And so whoever wins this will be the champion. And if it's a draw, that would mean that there would be a game 8. But hopefully we don't end up with that. think 7 games is plenty. And what the fuck is going on with Swackle? Actually, the next time he comes on, I'm gonna turn him off. Let's see. Oh, you can't even turn him off because he's an observer. That's gay. Anyway. Now, Patrol has managed to let Iron Tony take back that mask extractor, but he needs to actually build it now. Nice radars for both players, so you can both see what's going on. And I think Iron Tony has more spam here. It's 4 land factors and an air factor versus 4 land factors. So this air factor might be a little bit of a power drain. And with identical power, 220 for each, a power drain like this will be very irritating. Although a huge mass stall for Astrofoo, while Iron Tony has an extremely good economy right now. He's balancing his mass extremely well. And that's going to equal tons more units for Iron Tony in the next few seconds. That was a really nice spawn from Astrofoo, though, to kill that radar. But he's in huge trouble here against Iron Tony. I mean, all these units coming in, and he's running in a straight line right now. He's going to get hit by all that already to the face. Oh, this is going to be very close. This might actually be another draw. Oh, up to 2700 HP. Astrofoo could have gotten the draw there at that exact moment. If he keeps dodging, he'll be alright. It's just artillery now, no tanks. But he needs to dodge constantly now. He's down to 800 HP. So he does survive for the moment. Surviving by the skin of his teeth here is Astrofoo. Iron Tony's coming in for the kill. He's on 2600. Oh my. Wow. He got a veterancy at the he got a veterancy at the exact moment that he was gonna die. Absolutely ridiculous win from Iron Tony. But that seems to be what happened. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope that my first cast back was a successful one. I don't know why I stuttered so bad today. But yeah, see you guys next time, and hopefully I can make more casts soon, because I've kind of missed casting. I used to cast a lot, but I haven't recently. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time.